What if the mastermind behind all the Five Nights at Freddy's mysteries is actually a character you've overlooked from the Fazbear Frights books? Hold on tight, because this revelation could flip the FNAF universe on its head. Let's dive into the twisted world of FNAF's Ghost series, where the lore is as intricate as a spider's web. Today, we're on the hunt for the Puppet Master, the enigmatic figure pulling the strings behind the scenes. But before we get into it, let's talk about how FNAF has a knack for dropping lore bombs in the most unexpected places. Remember when Golden Freddy's name was revealed in a children's workbook? Yeah, that happened. Now let's talk about Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction that's a treasure trove of lore. Among the tales of robot makeovers and time-traveling ball pits, there's a character who's been manipulating us all along. This character isn't just confined to a few pages. Their influence spans the entire series, and no, we're not talking about Scott Cawthon, the creator of FNAF. In FNAF Help Wanted, we were introduced to a mysterious game developer who was supposedly lying about the terrifying events at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Initially, it seemed like a cheeky nod to Scott Cawthon, but as the game progressed, it became clear that this developer was a crucial part of the lore. They were hired to cover up the dark history of Fazbear Entertainment. So who is this elusive game developer? Then comes into the scene Oswald, a character who appears in the Fazbear Frights book series, particularly in the story Into the Pit. Oswald is a young boy who, through a bizarre twist of fate, finds himself time-traveling back to 1985, right into the heart of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This isn't just any ordinary visit. He lands at the scene of the infamous murders that have haunted the franchise's lore. Now, how could Oswald possibly be linked to the elusive game designer we've been hearing about? Well, let's break it down. First off, Oswald isn't just some random kid who stumbles upon the weird world of Freddy Fazbear Pizza. Nah, this guy's been into animatronics way before he even knew what Freddy Fazbear was. We're talking about a kid who's not just doodling stick figures or random shapes in his notebook. Oswald is sketching out animatronics, and not just any animatronics. He's drawing them life-sized, with all the gears and bolts. He even goes the extra mile to imagine what they'd look like with their fur peeled back, revealing the machinery underneath. This isn't just some phase he's going through. Oswald's got a full-blown obsession here. He's not just killing time, he's diving deep into the mechanics, the hows and whys of these robotic creatures. It's like he's got this inner drive to understand them, to figure out what makes them tick. But that's not all. Oswald is also a big fan of video games, Japanese movies, and manga. Now you might think, what's the big deal? Lots of kids like that stuff. But hold on a second, because in the FNAF universe, nothing's ever just a coincidence. You see, Oswald's love for Japanese culture isn't just a side note. It's a clue, a breadcrumb, that might just lead us to the Puppet Master pulling the strings behind the scenes. Think about it. The FNAF games have always had this flair for the dramatic, a touch of theatricality that you'd often find in Japanese cinema and manga. The exaggerated expressions of the animatronics, the over-the-top lore, and the intricate storytelling. These are all elements you'd find in a classic manga or a Japanese film. And who's a fan of all that? You guessed it, Oswald. But let's dig a bit deeper. Remember Ultimate Custom Night? That game had cutscenes that were clearly inspired by old Japanese samurai movies and anime. The art style, the storytelling, it's all there. Now, who in the FNAF universe would have the cultural background to inject that kind of influence into the games? Oswald, that's who. And let's not forget, Oswald's not just a fan, he's practically a scholar when it comes to this stuff. He knows the ins and outs of these genres. He's the kind of kid who'd debate about the nuances of a Godzilla movie or eagerly wait for the next manga installment at the library. That level of dedication doesn't just make him a fan, it makes him a potential creator, someone who could weave these elements into something bigger. Something like, say, the FNAF games. Now let's talk about how these tie into his experiences, especially with Jeff, the creepy pizzeria owner. Jeff isn't your average Joe who just serves pizza. He's got this zombie-like vibe, complete with bloodshot eyes and a stained apron that you don't even want to ask about. If you've played FNAF, this should ring a bell. Doesn't it sound like the kind of character you'd run into those games? It's almost as if Jeff could be the real-world inspiration for some of the undead characters that haunt the halls of Freddy Fazbear's. Now think about Oswald, a kid who's already into the creepy and weird, meeting someone like Jeff. It's like the universe handed him a character template on a silver platter. Jeff's eerie presence could be the spark that lights up Oswald's imagination, pushing him to craft characters that are even more terrifying. Then there's Gabriella, a girl Oswald meets during his adventure. Now hold up, that name Gabriella rings a bell, doesn't it? Yeah, it's almost a mirror image of Gabrielle, one of those names etched onto the gravestones in the FNAF games. No, I'm not saying it's a direct hit, but in a world like FNAF, you've gotta wonder, is this just happenstance, or is Oswald picking up these details like a sponge, ready to squeeze him out into his own twisted FNAF narrative later on? Think about it. Gabriella isn't just some random kid, she's into Greek myths. That's stories filled with gods, heroes, and all sorts of twisted family drama. Kinda sounds like the stuff you'd find in a manga or a really intense Japanese movie, right? It's like Oswald's interests and Gabriella's interests are two puzzle pieces that fit together almost too perfectly. But the real clincher here is that he actually experiences time travel and sees a golden animatronic take the place of his dad. This is huge, not just for him, but the whole FNAF story. Think about it. In the FNAF games, the idea of a dad turning into a golden animatronic and scaring his own kid is a big deal. It happens over and over, and here's Oswald living through the exact same thing. This can't just be random. That golden animatronic is more than just a scary robot. It's a sign. It's like a clue that Oswald's dad, who's supposed to be the good guy, is now this golden monster. This isn't just some random event. It's the starting point for one of the creepiest parts of the FNAF games. And let's not forget the time travel. Oswald didn't just go back in time for fun, it messed things up. It's like a hint that time isn't simple in the FNAF world. It's confusing, and it keeps everyone guessing. So could Oswald be the puppet master, the one who's been misleading us all along? It's a theory worth considering. Oswald's character traits, experiences, and even his motives align well with someone who could be behind the FNAF games. Whether or not this theory holds water, it's clear that Oswald is a character worth keeping an eye on. But remember, in the twisted world of FNAF, appearances can be deceiving. Could Oswald be the key to unlocking the ultimate FNAF mystery, or is he just another enigma in a game filled with endless riddles? The answer is out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. The question is, are you ready to find it?